Hey, everybody, welcome into the WTH podcast. We're running a couple minutes late. Do you know why? Because I'm dealing with kids, amongst other things. So, yeah, it's been a day. I'll get into all of it. Let's get into it right now. So yesterday, Leslie and I went and we got our shingles vaccinations, which is something they recommend for anybody over 50. Shingles is a nasty, nasty, nasty disease that you do not want. It's akin to chickenpox. I had a mild form of it in college, but I started to hear more and more about people who get it and then end up with some severe nerve issues to the point where they can't sit and do a 20-minute podcast.
Ooh.
Right? So the host of Locked On Mariners, which is a podcast about the Seattle Mariners, he did a crossover episode with the Angels, and I was like, oh, this guy's fun. I want to listen to more of his stuff. And he had mentioned that he hadn't done that many shows in the off season, and I didn't think too much of it. He said he had some health issues. And then in another show I was listening to, he mentioned, oh yeah, I had shingles last fall, and I've been dealing with a lot of nerve problems since then. And a few days after that, he released a podcast that was nothing but voice to text. He literally typed out the entire podcast and had a robot voice with a British accent read it because he could not sit and do a 20-minute podcast.
Oh.
So I thought to myself, you know what? We should get the shingles vaccine because I can't end up like that. It's bad times. And that was a good call for me because it didn't really affect me. My wife, however, she got all of the side effects. So she's not feeling great today, last night or today. So that's why I am coming to you from my home and not from the studios with Kareem.
Not Paris?
No, forget Paris, Jason. Forget Paris. So yeah, that's why the different locale. I don't regret getting this shingles vaccination. I think it was ultimately the right thing to do, and ultimately will be healthier in the long run. But God, what a kick that was! It was a rough night. She didn't sleep. I didn't really sleep, and we've got the two kids now, and bedtime's 7, and bedtime was rough. So. Anyway, we're here. We're here back because honestly, if we hadn't canceled the show last week, I probably would have pulled the plug this week and said, you know what, let's not. But I didn't want to go 2 weeks with no show because I care about you, the listener, you.
Aww.
Whether you're in Australia, India, Roseville, all those exotic places. No matter which exotic place you're listening to the show in. Super happy to have you along. Thanks for being here. You guys have some vaccination news, don't you?
Yes, I got my first shot last Wednesday.
For COVID.
I do Amazon Flex on the side, and I do and I do food deliveries sometimes too. So that made me eligible as a worker. Because with the Amazon Flex, we actually do whole food grocery deliveries. So I got my first shot last Wednesday. Only mild. My right arm that I got the shot in was sore. But I did what we did when I was in the military, which was we would have to get the flu vaccine. We didn't have a choice. So, everybody would dose up on vitamin C and ibuprofen. So that's what I did. And so I felt pretty good.
Yeah. And I got my shot last Tuesday. So, yeah, I mean, same type of thing, just some soreness. I mean, nothing that I haven't experienced before, like when I've had flu shots. Yeah, I mean, and it is what it is. So
I mean, the pollen in the air is probably worse than the side effects of the shot at this point.
Seriously.
The pollen today was really bad because it was super windy and it was crazy, the amount of pollen that was blowing around.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy day here in Sacramento for all of that. All
And
right.
then when I was waiting to get my shot, we had the fun of a guy that was high on meth coming into the pharmacy trying to get needles.
That's not better.
Nice.
Yeah, he was no mask, cussing, just he told the pharmacist he had type 1 diabetes. He needed the needles for that, but they didn't have the needles that he was in, and then he was cussing about that. And he walked out without incident. I was kind of worried there for a minute. I didn't know what was going to happen because he was a little sketchy.
Yeah, it's always fun when you go to the pharmacy. Hey, my video looks better now. Hey, everybody. Like I said, last minute setups because of children and such. So just tweaking everything now. Jason, is that your cat or your child I'm hearing?
It's my child. And my wife went into work.
Oh.
So
Fudge.
yeah, no, we'll see. It's fine. She'll be fine.
Sure. Well, of course she will. What's the most they could get into at that age?
No, nothing. She's down in bed. She just started crying a few moments ago.
Gotcha. So,
yeah.
quick question for you. What age did you transition your eldest daughter from crib to bed? I'm kind of curious about that.
So the first one, we went crib to bed about 3.5. And the only reason that is because it took so long for her to get out of the crib. Like there was no reason to get her into a bed.
Okay.
Eventually, we kept her, let her stay there for as long as possible. And now she has a bed and she's really good about staying in it. Alma, on the other hand, has already learned how to climb in and out of the crib with assistance. She needs a chair. But she's the daredevil of the two. So she figured out how to get out. So she is not long for the crib. I mean, because once she can climb out of the crib, why let the risk remain of her falling and hurting herself?
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's we're sort of looking at that now because we have the 2-year-old and we just got the new baby and we don't want him in the room with us until we want to have our life.
Yeah.
So we're looking at possibly transitioning her to a bed sooner than later. And then getting him, basically we're going to give him the crib she has and she's going to get a bed because it's cheaper to buy a bed than buy a crib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious about that. And so we're doing that. We're looking into starting to potty train, all of those fun things that you do with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's oh man. And you're in it, dude. It's tough. I mean, that second one, you don't realize until you got the second one there that you're like, oh, this is more difficult.
I'll tell you the real problem is COVID because when I had the first one and she was a baby, I brought her everywhere, Target, wherever. I just packed her along, brought her and dealt with it. It was fine. But with COVID, you can't do that because, babies can get COVID too. And that's the last thing you want. You go, oh, well, they'll probably get better. And they probably will, or there'll be lung damage, or I don't know. But if they get it and they bring it back in, then, regardless of whether or not we're vaccinated, that's you just don't want to do that. So COVID has been a real kick in the nuts for a lot of reasons in terms of how everything works and doesn't work. And not to complain, but it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. Because the little one loved going to the store. The 2-year-old loved going to the store when she was little. She absolutely adored riding in the shopping cart and looking around and all this other shit. And for instance, today I did an to-go order at Target. And if you're going to do that, please avoid the one on Riverside Boulevard. They have more things in stock because no one should go to that store. Because their drive up ordering system says it's 2 hours. I'm like, okay. So I order and I get there a little before 2 hours. Now the one in West Sac never takes 2 hours. I'm like, normally it's 20 minutes. I get a notification. Bing, it's ready. So I get over there. It's like an hour and 50 minutes after I make the order. And after I'm sitting there for a couple of minutes, somebody comes up and says, "Hey, did you have a pickup order, a to-go order?" And I said, "I did." He asked for my name, and then he said, "Well, let me look it up for you." And it was still processing. And then he explains to me that while they say it's a 2-hour window, there it's really a 3-hour window, and they're running about an hour behind. But he says to me, and I have the 2-year-old in the car, he says to me, "You can go in and see if we have that item on the shelf and then go ahead and cancel your order." To which I reply, "I'm not going in there with the 2-year-old. I know I'm the weird one because I see plenty of people packing their 2-year-olds around everywhere. I'm not going to be that guy. At least not yet." But yeah, fun times. Yeah, it's a really weird time, and I do hate that Target. But they had what I wanted in stock, so I'm like, okay, I'll deal with them. It's drive up. What could possibly go wrong? And to my knowledge, I have not gotten a ding that it is ready yet, and I ordered more than 3.5 hours ago.
Holy snikes!
Nice.
Yeah, he also explained to me. It's a different department that actually gets the stuff off the shelves than the people who bring it out to your car, which I don't need to know. But that sounds odd. That sounds weird to me that that's the way you do it. But if that's the way you do it, great. But let's make it work.
Why don't they just do it how West Sacramento does it?
They go and pick it up and get their shit done.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible there's just more people that are trying to order from that store, but I don't know. I just don't know. I long ago decided not to go into that Target store because it's such a pain in the ass. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Anyway, weird week, guys. Actually 2 weeks since we last talked. In that time, Joe Biden held his first press conference, and he had a lot to say about a variety of things, including whether he was going to be a one-term president or whether he might run again.
Have you decided whether you are going to run for re-election in 2024? You haven't set up a re-election campaign yet, as your predecessor had by this time.
My predecessor needed to. My predecessor. Oh, God, I miss him. No, the answer is yes. My plan is to run for re-election. That's my expectation.
You also just made some news by saying that you are going to run for re-election.
I said that is my expectation.
So is that a yes, that you are running for re-election?
Look, I don't know where you guys come from, man. I've never been able to travel. I'm a great respecter of fate. I've never been able to plan 3.5 years ahead for certain.
And if you do run, will Vice President Harris be on your ticket?
I would fully expect that to be the case. She's doing a great job. She's a great partner. She's a great partner.
And do you believe you'll be running against former President Trump?
Oh, come on. I don't even think about it. I have no idea. I have no idea whether it'll be a Republican Party.
Yeah, who knows if there'll be a Republican Party? Fair point, Joe. That was a big thing for Fox News. Be like, why hasn't he held a press conference? Like, shut up.
Because they ask the same question over and over again that has no bearing on anything.
Yeah, it's very weird. Kareem, you were saying?
So I watched the press conference and I was fucking frustrated with the press conference because that was the dumbest fucking question. Now, she had asked a really good question before that got totally lost in the shuffle. That was a pertinent question that got totally lost in the shuffle because she asked a dumbass question. He's 2 months into his term. He can't say, no, I'm not going to run, because then he becomes a lame duck president.
Right.
And the idea that you're asking him that 2 months into his term to try to box him into something, it's fucking ridiculous. and some of the other shit like the stuff at the border. Like I understand that it needs to be covered and things need to be fixed. But the press was the people that told us that Donald Trump defunded all of these things and removed all of these services down there. So for you to ask him if he's going to do such and such in a hurry when you know that he doesn't have the capability because you reported on it, is fucking ridiculous. It's disingenuous. It's one of the reasons why people don't like the fucking media, because you had the answers to a lot of the shit that you asked him questions about, and you knew that there was a reason why he couldn't. He didn't hit the ground running with the stuff because of so much of the shit that dumbass before him had done.
Well, and the Border Patrol was almost like personal Gestapo for Trump too. Like he treated those people like that group of like the service that way, you know, from what I remember correctly, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like,
exactly.
It's his own private. So who do they care about? Where do their loyalties lie?
And it's almost like because he's so boring, and I'm happy that he is boring because that means he's actually doing shit, that they're looking for Trump-like headlines in order to get ratings. It's like, no, report on the shit that's there. Maybe you can take some time and talk about a broad range of stuff instead of just focusing on one dumb thing that the president said during the day.
Or here, how about this, CNN? How about you focus on Atlanta and Georgia right now, what's happening there to voter rights? Why don't you just focus on that for a couple of weeks? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's not like there wasn't shit going on in the country that you could be talking about besides him giving a press conference.
Yeah, the thing was, though, the Republican Party and Fox News just beat the drum for what seemed like weeks. Why hasn't he had a press conference? Where has he been? What's he doing? Is he hiding in a virtual basement in the Oval Office? It's like, are you kidding me? A virtual basement? Shut up. It was so stupid. It was so stupid. His press secretary was having a press conference literally every day, answering questions, talking to reporters. And let's not even get into that idiot Peter Doocy. And, I've got this big binder of questions. It's like, are you fucking high? You get like one, maybe one in a follow-up. You've got 100 questions, you grandstanding prick. Fuck off.
Yeah. And
fuck off with that.
And you're right, because the last administrations, they just stopped doing press conferences. But I'm like, you're like, she's there every day. They're not dodging people. He's just busy doing fucking shit that needs to be done, as opposed to playing footsie with you motherfuckers.
He's doing hot girl shit, all right?
Fair point. I hadn't thought of it that way, but I can't argue with you.
I like that, Jason.
Doing hot girl shit. I want him to come out and say that. What have you been doing for the American people? Hot girl shit? Yeah. Now get me a spiced latte. I demand a spiced latte. Meanwhile, we had some. Apparently, COVID is diminishing because we're getting the mass shootings again. And in Boulder, Colorado, it was at a grocery store. And the Boulder PD officer, Eric Talley, who was killed in the shootings, his father says his son was a staunch Second Amendment guy and even owned a weapon similar to the one used to kill him. And he believes Eric would hate to see his death used to promote gun control. Oh, so he's happy that some nutbag had an AR-15 or something like an AR-15 and was able to cut him down as he responded to a crime scene? You're telling me that was his position? What are we supposed to take away from that? Like, he was cool with people being able to have those guns and do whatever. What exactly are you doing? I mean, I get that you might want to say, hey, my son was a Second Amendment guy, but what purpose does that serve here? The only reason he gets brought up is because there is all of this talk, blue lives matter. And yes, you've got 9 other people besides this police officer who were killed. So there's been a lot of focus on the police officer that was killed because there's always more focus when it's a police officer that's killed. He told TMZ, quote, "My son would have been deeply offended to know his death would be used to promote gun control. Before he was an officer, he enjoyed shooting." Well, now he's not an officer anymore because he was a target.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to take away from that? I mean,
And-
I'm trying to find anywhere in that statement something that makes sense on a human level. And I get that this guy is grieving. He's lost his son. He may not be thinking clearly, but I can't imagine you would lose a family member and turn around and go, you know what? The guy that shot him, good for him. He's got a gun and he should because of the Second Amendment.
Yeah. And mind you, Boulder, the city of Boulder had put a regulation on those, and a judge had just revoked the law that they put in place like 2 weeks
Right.
before this, 10 days before this. I mean, fuck, how many times does this have? How many times does this have to happen? And
he literally bought it since it came back being able to buy him. Like,
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have been able to buy it.
and I'm still waiting for that good guy with a gun to show up.
Well, he did, and he was shot and killed. If you want to argue that it was the police officer, he showed up, he was shot and killed by someone who had, in my opinion, more armament than any civilian should be allowed to have. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have guns. If you want to have a pistol for self-protection and you want to have a shotgun for hunting and you want to have a rifle for hunting, okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If you've passed a background check, if we know that you're not a danger to yourself or others. The problem is we talk about, there's a lot of talk in this whole thing about, so the first thing Republicans and gun control people bring about is mental health, but they don't give a shit about mental health.
Nope.
And someone posed the question on Facebook, well, what about this side? Why don't they talk about mental health? And my response was, well, the people that are in favor of gun control and responsible gun laws are also the same people that are in favor of universal health care, which would include mental health care. So that's already part of what most of the people on that side of the fence believe. So you're asking one side of the fence that already believes that mental health is an issue and that people should have access to mental health care to go, yeah, there's a mental health care aspect to it, because the other side brings it up to try and distract you from the fact that someone has a lethal, high-powered weapon that civilians don't need. And the number of Second Amendment conversations I've had on Facebook this week are just ridiculous, because the Second Amendment is very, very short. It reads, and I don't remember the exact wording, but this is very close. A well-regulated militia being essential to protecting our freedoms, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means when it was written, we had a citizen army, and that citizen army would need to be called up if the British came back to attack us. So
that's what they tell us.
That's what
Right.
that's about. It's not because Cletus or Ahmed or Tyrone or whomever decides, you know what, it would be really cool for me to own an AR-15 because I need that for whatever reason. That's not the reason. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to have a gun. And most people who own guns believe that there should be some form of responsible, reasonable gun control and standards so that you can't just roll up and get a gun. There's a waiting period if you get it from an actual gun store, but if you go to a private gun show, a private seller can sell to whoever they want. They don't do background checks. And when you come into California, the only thing they ask you is if you've got fruits and veggies. They don't ask you if you've got a gun that you picked up at the gun show in Reno.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they could add that to the questions, Do you have any fruits, vegetables, or an AR-15 you picked up at the gun show in Reno?
That is a good question.
Right? I mean, if you're going to stop me and ask me about if I've got a pear or an apple, then you might as well ask me about that too.
And they'll make you throw it away too.
Hey, that's my lunch. That's my lunch. I have this exotic plant that you can only find in rare parts of the world. Is that okay? I'm going to plant it in my backyard and let the wind take the seeds where they may.
I have these lionfish. I'm not going to do anything but, I have these amazing mussels.
Yeah, they're great. I've got this Burmese python. I mean, he'll do good. They survive anywhere. They're very, very how you say hardy,
Adaptive.
Yeah. There was also a shooting in Atlanta where this was the most ridiculous thing. The sheriff who came out and said, well, the suspect was having a bad day. He no longer works for the sheriff's department, or at least not as the spokesperson for the sheriff's department.
So
here,
he made indicators that he has some issues, potentially sexual addiction, and may have frequented some of these places in the past.
Was this racially motivated?
As the chief indicated, it's still early, but the indicators right now are it may not be. It may be targets of opportunity. Again, we believe that he frequented these places in the past and may have been lashing out, and part of that is in your media packet as well.
But the working theory is a sexual addiction issue rather than a racial profile.
During our interviews, we asked that specific question, and that did not appear to be the motive.
For the investigators, they interviewed him this morning, and they got that impression that yes, he understood the gravity of it, and he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Did you say it was a bad day for him? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So Captain Jay Barker is no longer giving updates and briefings on the case.
So a white guy can have a bad day and go shoot 10 people, but I can't be mad because you pulled me over for bullshit and come out alive?
Yes, Kareem, that's it. The shooter in Colorado, by the way, not a white guy.
He was white adjacent. He was white enough that they didn't kill him.
They did not.
They didn't know he wasn't white until he started talking to him.
Till he gave his name.
Yep.
There was another shooting in Virginia Beach, but I don't really know anything about that. I haven't had time to look into it, so I don't want to speculate and lump it in with anything. And I haven't heard a motive on the Boulder shooting either. So
yeah, Virginia Beach, those were my cousins.
It was, but here was the interesting thing is 2020, there were a ton of shootings in the US and we didn't hear a lot about them because the big story was COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a ton of shootings, but I mean, COVID was killing 500,000 Americans. So yeah, it's one or the other. Speaking of COVID, we got a local lady who didn't want to wear a mask, and she put it on Instagram. She's gotten a lot of gotten a lot of press of late, but yeah, these people are out there. Hold on, unmute this. Why is this muted? Should not be muted. Hold on. This is important stuff. Why can I not hear her?
She's not ringing me up. She called the police. Then take it off.
So she's just sitting there on Instagram Live. That's what you're hearing is people like either liking it or disliking it. That whoop, 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 whoop. She eventually, the reason the cops were called was because she wasn't leaving. I'm going to fast forward to the point where she finally does go ahead and leave because I think the reaction of the people in the store is important to understand all of this. Here we go.
What's the expense? Why don't we just try it for just the 10 cents? Shall we try it for just the 10 cents since it doesn't seem to be ringing through for the $40? Imagine that. You made it work.
You have a great day.
Is your name on the receipt?
My name is Lisa.
Excellent.
Right there.
You violated HIPAA and ADA and so many other laws just now.
Fuck off. Not serving you because you're not wearing a mask does not violate HIPAA. It does not violate ADA. It just doesn't. Shut up.
Okay.
Oh, you want to harass me too? You want to go viral?
I will call the police.
Please, they already did. I'm waiting to talk to them.
This is why I don't go to Citrus Heights.
Just so you people know, if it is not a government building, whether it's state, local, or federal, it is not public property. The sidewalk, the park, that's public property. If you go onto anything past the driveway and inside a building, that is private property. You do not have the right to do whatever the fuck you want to on private property. They have a right to set their rules.
Right. Just like you have to wear pants.
Exactly.
You have to wear shoes. You have to wear a shirt. All part of that.
Oh man, we need to find one of those ones up in Placerville that doesn't make you wear a mask. One of those businesses up there in the foothills, and go in there without pants on.
So the pecker hanging out over a little bit.
No, I'll let it. I swear to God, I'll do it.
Full Monty.
I'll fucking do it, man. Let's do it.
Full Monty that. Speaking of dicks, Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson works on two levels. Doubled down on his decade-old claim that climate change can't be real because of his assumption that Greenland must have been green at some point. He told them,
"What the fuck, man?"
He's still clinging to it.
Did I take like fourth grade? Like, did he not get out of like fifth grade? Like, what the fuck? I mean, come on, man.
He's a U.S. senator, by the way.
Like,
U.S.
how does
senator.
he not know about Vikings, dude? How does he not know about Eric? How does he not know about like? He's a white dude. That's a white supremacist, possibly.
Well, his nickname is Russian Ron, so. He told the New York Times last week, quote, "I could be wrong there, but that's always been my assumption that at some point in time, those early explorers saw green." He then finally admitted, and I quote again, "I have no idea." Check out what I pulled out of my ass. You know why they call it Greenland? Because the explorers came up to it and it was green. They saw green. It's Greenland.
That's pretty much everywhere.
He's a senator, United States senator. He gets elected to 6-year terms. In 2010, Mr. Johnson first campaigned for Senate. He told Madison station WKOW, quote, "You know, there's a reason Greenland was called Greenland. It was actually green at one point in time, and it's been, since. It's a whole lot whiter now. So we've experienced climate change throughout geologic time."
What?
So he's fallen for the 1,000-year-old ruse by the Icelandic murderer Eric the Red, who was exiled to the island and made up a misleading name to attract other settlers. That's according to Visit Greenland.
That's the true story.
Now he does have a point that it may have been green. This is according to scientists around 2.5 million years ago, but that was long before it got the name Greenland.
I just remember like when we learned world geography. It was at 5th grade, 6th grade. I can't remember, but like one of the first things like you learn when you're talking about it's like Iceland is green and Greenland is ice. Like I just remember that being like one of the primary things. I don't know, and I'm 42 years old, so that's like 35 years.
He was asleep during that class.
Man.
Well, and Ron's quite a bit older than you, so who knows what they were teaching back then. I don't know the answer to that.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. It's so fucking ridiculous.
United States Senator, just saying. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson.
Released by white men drowning in the deep end of racism, xenophobia, and misogyny.
Yeah, that's good for the country. White supremacy! That's the culprit, no matter what the color the criminal was. It doesn't matter the criminal's color because it's systemic racism. And like carbon monoxide, it's an invisible poison. That is suddenly a very common view on the left. It's certainly Barack Obama's position. More than any other contemporary American leader, Barack Obama is a racial arsonist. He emerges at our most vulnerable moments to deepen the wounds that divide us. He sows hate. Why does Barack Obama do this? Well, it would take a psychiatrist to answer that question fully, though it seems obvious that deep loathing of some kind plays a role. It must play a role. Today, Obama took a break from becoming one of the richest men in the world to issue a statement blaming racism and misogyny for today's killings. So a guy who appears to be white shoots a group of white people, and Barack Obama calls it racism. How exactly does that work? Can you speak slowly and tell us? Well, the former president didn't. He didn't indicate, but he didn't need to. Barack Obama had managed to divide Americans a little more than they were yesterday. And so from his perspective, mission accomplished.
Kareem, would you like to tackle that one before we get into it?
Barack Obama could not have divided. The only thing that Barack Obama did to divide America was get elected president. The rest of that shit was because white people's heads exploded because a black man actually became president. Tucker. Why? And here's the other thing. Why should we believe anything that Tucker says? Because we're reasonable people.
It's true. That's been argued in a court of law.
Man, fuck that fuck stain. And fuck his dad.
He took some time off from working toward becoming the world's richest man. I'm like, what?
Get the fuck out of here. Who? Oh my god! Have you either of you guys watched The Lady in the Dale on HBO?
Is that a new porno?
No. It's about a woman that created a 3-wheeled car, and she was like a con artist, and she was transgender. Yeah, Tucker Carlson's dad covered her whole like that. That was his meal ticket like story. Was this woman? Like through the 70s and the 80s. So I had no idea. But then I saw him and I was like, oh yeah, you put it, you know, that fucking asshole. No wonder I didn't like that fucking dick in this fucking show, this fucking cocksucker. That's because it's Tucker Carlson's fucking shit-stained dad. He's like fucking shit-stained pieces of shit, fucking white ass bitches.
So I know what you're talking about, but I haven't watched it yet. I've been watching the QAnon documentary on HBO.
You know, that QAnon thing, man, I feel like I should watch it, but I feel like it would suck my soul out if I did. Like, the stupid would make me so hollow inside. Is that accurate? It's a lot.
It is accurate. It is the gullibility.
I mean, I watched the South Park vaccination special, and they spelled South Park with a Q, and so, they get into that a little bit. Yeah,
and nothing against the dude. The dude that started 8chan is a guy who is disabled, and he's in a wheelchair. He's a small person, so he couldn't do anything but be on the internet.
Well, I don't know about that because Madison Cawthorn is in a wheelchair and he's an asshole U.S. representative now.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this dude is the only thing he can do is be on the internet. Like he couldn't go out and all of that stuff. So it's
why you got to use the internet for bad. You could have used the internet for good.
Yeah, And he was upset that Reddit had their boundaries, and he liked what was on 4chan, so he decided to marry the two and create 8chan. And just these are people that if you saw them, him and the other two people, if you saw them in public, these aren't people that you would be like, oh, I'm going to follow that guy anywhere.
It sounds a little like the great and powerful Oz when you pull back the curtain.
Exactly.
Although the people that are following don't care about what's behind the curtain.
Not a damn.
Especially not now, dude. That thing is like its own fucking virus, dude. It's its own fucking human fucking coronavirus.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like I should watch it to be better informed about it. But I feel like if I do, it's going to make me very angry.
Yeah. It just make you realize that people that you know and have known that are just shit stains in the first place. No, I don't mean that. Yeah,
you do, and that's fine.
I mean, like, I don't know, man. I get it. Gold. But it's one of those things that when you watch a bunch of these different cult shows and things of that nature, like you see that the people aren't just like fucking stupid, gullible people. They're normal, everyday people. Like they fall for it, you know.
Well, you watched the one on the Heaven's Gate cult, right?
Yeah.
Like they say in that one, like they don't want stupid people. They want intelligent people because you need those people to do all of this stuff that they want to do.
Oh, Nexium was the same way. Like when you watch the one on Nexium, same fucking shit. Like same different thing. Scientology, same thing. You know, I mean, same like thing. It's all the fucking. It's the same shit, but it's still like, oh man. But it's its own thing now. Like it's until it. Like they just moved up the date. Like Landell like just said that it's going to be August 20th now.
Yeah,
is that's the new date. That's the new date that Trump's going to be president, and the Supreme Court's going to rule in their favor.
And here's the thing that this does, cancel culture and all of this shit. All of this stuff ignores the fact that we are human beings. And they ignore our base instincts or the basis of us being people. We still pretend that we have evolved further than we have. So there is a whole lot of things that we're susceptible to because we don't acknowledge the fact that we have these shortcomings. We think that people are supposed to be beyond these things when we're not. We're just not.
Clearly not. For instance, let's go to Fayetteville, Georgia.
To a pile of pennies in his driveway, not just a few, but tens of thousands of them.
Yeah, the pile amounts to about $900. As Fox 5's Janice Yu reports tonight, it was the amount he was expecting from his former employer.
Imagine coming out to your driveway and finding a large pile of pennies, not just pennies, but pennies covered in some kind of an oil or grease. Andreas Flatten says that's what he found here on his driveway. And he says he doesn't understand why his former boss would go through the trouble to do something like this. This is not the contents of a years-old piggy bank that has been dumped out.
This is my final paycheck, $915 in pennies.
It's the amount Andreas Flatten was owed after leaving his job at a local auto repair shop called A.O.K. Walker Auto Works back in November of last year.
It sucks. It absolutely sucks. This definitely, I wouldn't wish this upon anybody.
He says after months of waiting for a paycheck and even contacting the Department of Labor, he got what he wanted, just not the way he imagined. His paycheck in the form of over 90,000 pennies covered in some kind of grease or oil.
If I've done my math correctly, 91,515 pennies should come out to be they're about 2.5 grams each, so it's about 504 pounds.
They now sit in a wheelbarrow inside his garage in his Fayetteville home, the weight too heavy for its wheels. Flatten says his new routine is to now sit here at night and clean them off one by one.
I think that's going to be a lot of work for money I've already worked for. It's going to be hours upon hours of just trying to clean this money up just so it's even able to be spent. It's definitely not fair at all.
I did talk to the owner of the auto repair shop, and he tells me he paid Flauten in U.S. currency, and he doesn't want anything to do with this story. In Fayetteville, Janice Yu, Fox 5 News.
Okay, dude, you don't get to say, I don't want anything to do with this story when you pull this gigantic asshole move.
Yeah.
When you owe somebody their final paycheck, you gotta pay them their final amount of money. And to pull that sort of shit, I don't care if this guy was a shit employee or not, or if he didn't fit in with what you were doing there. Just send him a fucking check and be done with it. I mean, how much time and energy did they do to get that many pennies?
That's why you know that there's a fucking story behind it, and that guy knows exactly why he fucking got $915 pennies that were fucking oily. There's a fucking story behind it. I'm not saying that it was deserved, but there's more to the story.
Oh, I'm sure there is. But Jason, I bet if you worked for A-OK Auto Repair, you would have gotten paid in a wheelbarrow load of pennies too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's possible, you know. I mean, look at shit. I had a job where I had a guy fucking follow me the 2 days after I quit the job and leave notes on my car telling me I was a fucking fat pussy.
Florida.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, like,
is that cool?
Whatever, man. Whatever floats your boat, bro. Like,
by the way, I would roll that fucking wheelbarrow down to Coinstar. I would do that.
No, not with the oil on it. That's the thing. Like that oil on it, it's exactly on there, so he can't use Coinstar. Like that guy fucked him. That was
you bring your car in for some repair work, and when they send you the bill, you just go, boop, there you go.
Yeah. Oh man, that dude. Yeah, that's fucked.
I mean, it is at this point. I'd sue him. I'd fucking sue him. I'd be like, look, you clearly violated state labor. Even in Georgia, you clearly violated a state labor law by waiting until March to give me my final paycheck that I was owed in November. Yeah, that's nowhere near legal.
Yeah, they're supposed to have your paycheck on your last day.
And Jason, you know full well that this fucking plan was hatched as soon as he contacted the Department of Labor, because he's like, "Hey man, I need my last paycheck. You still owe me $900." And they were like, "Fuck you." And then he said, "Well, I guess I have no choice but to contact the Department of Labor." And he did. And then they hassled him and they're like, "Well, fuck that guy. We're going to do this. You know what we should do?" I guarantee they sat around and wasted a good $600 in man hours figuring out ways to fuck this guy for no reason.
Yeah,
Do you know why? Do you know why? Because they're assholes. And I'm not saying he's not, because he might be, but they're assholes.
Oh yeah,
assholes.
That is way too much effort to put into fucking somebody that I don't want to see again.
Write the check. What is your time in life worth? I get it. I totally get it, but move on.
Florida.
Florida, land of enchantment and crazy shit. This is Florida Corner.
Now, along with drunken college students rampaging across Florida, a couple in their 40s allegedly engaged in an illicit spring break encounter that ended with their arrest for lewd behavior in public. According to police, Grant Mulder and Lauren Baugh, he's 48, she's 41, they were spotted on a Saturday afternoon around 1:45 p.m. in Largo Central Park in Largo, which is near the Tampa Bay area. The couple, cops say, were spotted near a veterans memorial inside the 70-acre park. Now, as detailed in one arrest affidavit, the Largo Police Department officer witnessed Baugh lying on her back with her legs spread apart and her vulva exposed as her boyfriend and co-defendant performed cunnilingus on her. That police, by the way, that anatomically correct police report goes out to you, Christiana, because we all know the vagina is inside. There you go. For those unfamiliar with the term, Officer Lawrence Trinka noted in a second affidavit that cunnilingus was better known as the union of the mouth with the vulva. Mulder and Baugh, the patrolman reported, were visible to park patrons as well as pedestrians and motorists passing on a highly trafficked roadway adjacent to the park. The affidavits state that there was an indication of alcohol influence in regard to both defendants.
Yeah.
What?
10 out of 10 here again, for sure.
By the way, Yelp review that. Mulder, who is known as Buddha, and Baugh were arrested and booked into county on misdemeanor counts. Mulder was charged with lewd and lascivious behavior, while Baugh facing an exposure of sexual organs rap. Isn't that what Lil Nas X did?
I think so.
According to court records, Baugh has previously been convicted of burglary, theft, trespassing, and possession of an open container. Mulder has an extensive rap sheet that includes convictions for aggravated assault, grand theft, battery, disorderly intoxication, marijuana possession, burglary, and multiple DUI counts. He has served 4 separate state prison terms, including a 5-year stretch that ended in December of 2019. And in the most recent entry on his Facebook page, he posted March 14th, "Spring break at the beach." There you go. That's Florida Corner.
Agent Mulder, the early years.
Right? Yeah, it's bad times. Bad times. Meanwhile, a Southwest Airlines pilot was caught on a hot mic in an expletive laden rant against the Bay Area. He has been confirmed as an employee of Southwest. The airline confirmed that. A spokesman for the company did not identify the pilot, but said they are fully addressing the situation, adding in their statement, "Our corporate culture is built on a tenet of treating others with concern and dignity, and the comments are inconsistent with the professional behavior and overall respect that we require from our employees. The situation was an isolated incident involving a single employee and not representative of the nearly 60,000 hardworking, respectful people of Southwest Airlines." Now, as a policy, the FAA does not identify subjects of an investigation, but Will Lawton, a private pilot based out of San Jose, who routinely listens to the live ATC and who initially reported the incident, believes he knew which airline was involved. So that's kind of how they figured out who it was in terms of airlines. Now, we actually have, let's see if I can get this called up properly. We have a little bit of the tape. It's been beeped, unfortunately, because I mean, you'd think Daily Mail would be better off with this, but here we go. Oh, hold on, we have to let the ad play first for Fit Over Sunwear. That's right, they're sunglasses you can put over your regular glasses.
All three's ready to go. Yeah, place. God, liberal. Probably like 8 guns out here somewhere. That's it. Weirdos. Probably driving around them Hyundais. Lower. They go slow as.
And last calling on tower, that's 12410 hot mic.
If you don't have balls unless you're rolling coal, man.
Yeah, you don't have balls unless you're rolling coal. How is this guy a fucking pilot?
Exactly.
You ain't got balls unless you're rolling coal. They're driving Hyundais. Driving slow. Like, fuck you, dude.
Has he been in the Bay? Because the people in the Bay ain't driving slow.
No.
Except this dude. Traffic.
Listen, man, this dude's a fucking racist. Let's lay our cards out on the table. He calls out a Korean car company and he talks about driving slow. He is clearly intimating that there's a big Asian population in the Bay Area full of liberal Asians driving slow everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and make the leap that this guy is a fucking racist.
That's why I'm saying it's not an
Maybe I'm wrong.
incident. I fucking feel sorry for that guy's fucking co-pilot that's the fucking fly next to him, and probably because he's a senior fucking pilot on the they can't fucking say shit. Like, this, fuck your corporate culture. Like, this is not something new to this dude. Like, this guy fucking talk like this on a regular fucking basis. 100%.
Of course he does.
100%. And his co-pilot has had to fucking listen to it every single fucking flight. So,
so either his co-pilot agrees with him, or he's
Yeah.
like, fuck, not this guy again.
yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the flight crew. I just imagine the flight crew back there being all smiley and making up songs and bullshit. Meanwhile, the pilots are there. You ain't rolling coal. Yeah, because that's what you want to be behind. Some asshole blowing smoke out of his pipe.
Either that, or it's like everybody's like awesome on the plane. Like, hey, we've had a pilot change. Pilot douchebag is going to be piloting today. Whole crew is just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God the pilot. Well, I guarantee they're like, well, at least the cockpit door is locked and we don't have to see him unless he has to take a piss.
Yeah.
It's the way it rolls there. But I have a deep irritation with people who decide that they need to espouse this glory for quote unquote rolling coal, which really is just burning oil out of the tailpipe of your fucking truck. Let's call it what it is. You're burning oil out of the tailpipe of your truck. You're not literally rolling coal. You want to roll coal? Go make a barbecue. Yeah, rolling coal. How about you go down in the mine and roll coal that way? How about you do some strip mining? Roll it out that way. Rolling coal, you fucking idiot. That's my opinion. My personal opinion. Just saying. I mean, go ahead, Jason.
I just to say, like, I think to myself sometimes, like, how when I was in my early 20s and late teens, how I wanted a sound system with so much bass in it, so loud, and thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Fair enough. Something with T-tops, perhaps.
So I wonder if I grew up in a certain area, I might have always wanted to roll coal. You know, I wonder if that's.
Look, I get if that's something that you want to do and you think it's cool, whatever. I'm not really sure what prompted this guy as he's landing at San Jose International Airport to just start spouting nonsense. Like, is there a carbon monoxide leak in the cockpit? What is happening? What is happening? Maybe he's rolled too much coal.
Yeah. Carbon monoxide poison.
That's a lot of that. A lot of that.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't even know anymore, but it's been a weird one. All right. Before we get to small town news and we wrap this up, you guys got anything else you want to say? Want to wrap with? Got about a minute or so.
So I had a friend who passed last week. One of my old coworkers. His name's James Roddy. I worked with him back when I worked in the spa industry. James was one of the kindest people that I have ever met. And he's one of those people that I actually did a joke about gay peer pressure that's based on me going to his graduation party and the fact that people couldn't get past the fact that he was gay. But I just saw him as a person. And it's weird because I thought about him last week and I wondered what he was up to and how he was doing. And then I found out that he passed away on last Wednesday.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, Kareem. That's unfortunate.
So remember, people are people, man. Sometimes the people that are the best people are people that you think you don't have anything in common with. So take some time, open your mind and heart to other folks.
You're right, Kareem. I've decided to open my heart to people who like to roll coal.
Not rolling coal people.
Yeah, not those people, bro.
I said genuinely good people.
I'm sorry.
James was not a rolling coal person.
No, I didn't say he was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying by those words, maybe what? Let's not be assholes. Hey, how about this? Let's go back to the motto of the show. Don't be an asshole.
And actually, he looked like he could have been your cousin, Nate, because you guys are both redheads with the beard and everything.
I've been told this past week that I should be what is his name? The assistant coach on Ted Lasso, and I think it's based purely on the beard.
Yeah.
But I still have more to go. I'm down 38 pounds, by the way, as of I'm 6 weeks through the program. So halfway through the program, I'm down 38 pounds.
Holy shit!
Cool.
Yeah,
It's the only thing. It's the only thing that makes this worth it.
Man, you're gonna be ready to be her first soccer coach in a minute.
Well, that's what you got to do. We got the soccer ball already, so we've already got her kicking the ball around a little bit. But 2-year-olds lack focus is really the problem.
Yeah.
When I coached flag, we started from kindergarten to 6th grade, and I could not do the really small kids.
Yeah,
like no,
they lack focus.
Yes.
On anything except for the iPad. The iPad they're into.
Yeah, look, and even some of the 5th and 6th graders didn't have that kind of focus.
That's why I think that the plight of like Jedi Masters is so, I mean, imagine having like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old that doesn't know how to use the Force. Man, get the fuck out of here, man.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine for a moment? Can you imagine for a moment a room full of pre-kindergarten karate students, where the whole point of karate is discipline, and focus.
Man. I can't even imagine, dude. I don't know. I mean, you can do it for short bursts. I mean, but it's at 2, no. At 4, you're getting a little bit better. But I mean, like, still, even at 4, man, like, you got 15 minutes. Yeah, if it's something that's interesting, you got 15 minutes.
Look, I had a 5th grader that I gave the play to take into the game. He went in and told the quarterback to play. Everybody ran the play but him.
Look, he was just the messenger. I mean, that's all there is to that.
You didn't tell him to do it.
All right? You said, tell the quarterback this is the play. And he did.
You told him, bro.
Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. All right, let's wrap this up.
Let's leave the hustle and bustle for small town news.
We have a follow-up. Now, remember a few months back, if you will, the business that was the UPS store in Newport, Vermont, put up a sign on their door saying that they weren't wearing masks, and if you didn't feel comfortable with that, you shouldn't come in. Then they changed the name of the business. They were no longer the UPS store. They were the Derby Port Press. Well, now the Orleans County Superior Court Judge, Mary Miles Treachout, ruled for the state on the final merits of its enforcement action against HNR DeSalt LLC, which is doing business as the Derby Port Press, and its owner, Andre Michael DeSalt. Judge Treachout ordered the defendants to stop violating Governor Scott's executive order and addenda. Specifically, defendants shall not employ any persons or open any premises for business without compliance with EO 1-20 and its addenda and the ACCD's phased restart work safe guidance. Basically, you can't not have masks. In February, Attorney General T.J. Donovan filed a civil lawsuit and a motion for temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction to stop the Newport business from violating the executive order. In its complaint, the state alleged the defendants were in violation of the orders by working in the presence of others without wearing required cloth face coverings. Compliance checks conducted by the Newport Police Department showed that the defendants, who formerly did business as the UPS store, continued to violate the governor's orders even after the complaint was filed. Late February, the Superior Court granted the state's motion for a restraining order requiring them to comply with the governor's mask mandate to operate the business. And in the ruling, Judge Treachout wrote, "The facts are clear that both the business entity and Mr. DeSalt personally were in violation of the rules, and on February 18th and 21st, and on other days in which the store was open for business, and he was not wearing a face covering over his nose and mouth when in the presence of others. The decision compels the business and its owner to comply with the governor's orders." The court rejected the legal arguments presented by the business owner and his attorney, and found that the emergency management statute is constitutional. A remote status conference has been scheduled for April 22nd to address the state's request for civil penalties. So we'll see what they get for civil penalties, but is it that fucking hard?
So for all those people that say the vaccine is going to be the next round of lawsuits? No, it's going to be people who have not been doing what they're supposed to. That's going to be the next round. Like if people can prove that they got the virus from your store, you're going to be sued.
Well, there's a reason why they're no longer the UPS store.
Yes.
Yeah, because UPS was like, fuck, no.
Like,
no.
Not it. UPS did not want any of that action.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely not. It was interesting. I was in Reading this weekend, and some places people wore masks, and other places you would think nothing was going on. But still, even if you've been vaccinated, this is not over. Wear a mask when you're around other people.
Yeah.
In that situation.
The only time you shouldn't be wearing a mask, if you don't want to, is if you're with other people that have been vaccinated. Right?
You know, we're in a certain tier of, and there are office rules. Things are different in different places, but there are office rules in California where if you are distanced from people and you're not in close proximity, you can not wear a mask. Those sort of things. But the idea that as a business owner you're going to open up your business and have clientele come in and not protect them, that's not going to fly. I hear the word I see thrown around a lot on social media is tyranny, and I don't believe that the people who are throwing it around really understand what tyranny is. Tyranny is not asking you to do something that's in the good of the public health.
Nope.
You don't understand what it is.
They're sheeple, buddy. They're sheeple, bro. Don't be a sheeple.
Yeah. The long back and forth until I finally turned off notifications on the post that I commented on, because I'm like, I don't want to have any more conversation with this guy. Clearly, he's not going. He kept throwing around tyranny and tyranny this and tyranny that, and I'm just like, you're clearly never going to understand what tyranny is. You're just not. There's no mention of tyranny. There's no mention of tyranny in the Second Amendment.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that's the show. My battery operated light died. That's why it's a little darker over here. But I did not bring the bigger plug-in lights home, so we'll do that next week. Hopefully, back in studio with myself and Kareem, who will be socially distanced and like that. Jason's getting. You both have gotten round 1 of the vaccine, so soon enough, once Jason is fully vaccinated and fully protected, he will be back in studio with us, and we can do it all together in one space.
Can't wait to get out of here, bro. I can't fucking wait.
Jason's on house arrest.
Let me fucking out of here. Let me out of here!
Leave Brittany alone. What you gonna do? All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the WTH podcast. Again, thank you for everybody who is watching us live, watching the replays, checking us out on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this month, in a couple of days. Periscope, it ceases to exist, so I'm not sure how we're going to be live on Twitter, but we're going to try next week. Whatever happens to be the way to do that, we will try to do that for you as well. Because we do get people who watch on Twitter live and afterwards. So anyway, that's going to do it for us. Have a great week. And remember, please, for the love of God, don't be an asshole.
Darling New Media, here to help you tell your story.